So that's whenever I told her, I was like, look, you can actually take those drugs and it goes away. Hey guys, gals, cool patriots. This is Waking the People with your host, Sir Chad Everett Brochures, and the guy that Prince would sing about, Joshua, your patriot, my Kraken McClendon. Oh, Joshua, we got ourselves a couple little fun topics today. No carjackings in today's episode, though, so I think we're going to be pretty safe for that. But then again, we both live in Florida, so you know, our governor and our what is that? DA will actually prosecute criminals here. So anyway, all right, Joshua, what we got?
Well, a little bit of everything today. Happy Friday, everyone. If you have not subscribed yet, please do so. Chad and I we were pretty much like Ethereum for the last month of April. We hit a lot of subscribers. We hit the goal we set. We're at 62 subscribers now. Our goal is by the end of May, we want to be at 70. So if you have not subscribed yet, please do so. Leave a comment. I'm sure we're going to ask some questions during the episode that we want to hear back from you guys. And yeah, it's a good day to be alive. It's a good day to be a Floridian. It's Friday. It's hot as you know what outside, and I couldn't be happier, Chad. No complaints. Today we got, this. It's been an eventful week as always, and it's never what we want to talk about, how much we want to talk. It's just it's mayhem. So this week, yesterday was, which we mentioned on the show before, was the press conference for the Logan Paul Floyd Mayweather boxing match that is coming up. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. There was some antics in there. We're going to talk about a teaser that we did in the last episode where we discussed Matthew McConaughey running for governor of Texas. He hasn't officially announced, but we're going to dive into that a little bit more, as well as, speaking of Texas, the most recent bill that could become law in the state of Texas that would not make you have to possess a license to carry a firearm. If you were legally allowed to possess a firearm, you could carry it without a license. So a lot of good stuff, Chad.
I like it. We need to go ahead and just get right to constitutional carry here in Florida, but we'll one thing at a time, right?
Yeah. I'm originally from Georgia, which I've said on the show before. And Georgia, I don't think they have it anymore, but they used to have, you could open carry in the state of Georgia. Has Florida ever been an open carry state where you can just open carry without a license?
It's a hell of a good question. I'd imagine back in the day before we got to the point of, Edison, probably, we likely could open carry and or constitutional carry or no gun restriction. But I have no idea. That's something we'd absolutely need to really dig into. Damn good question. But I'm not a scholar in that way. That's for sure.
That'd be a good topic to tease you with a little bit. I'd like to see also if there are other states that are currently open carry, what was their violent crime rate with firearms compared to open carry and concealed? Is there actually less of one, less of the other? Good topic. So maybe we'll dive into that later. I'm not really prepared for that right now. But why don't we jump into Texas? Let's just jump in, Chad. They're the second best state in the United States. So I guess we can talk about them first because it's probably the only thing they'll ever be first at. So let's talk about it, Chad. So Bill 1927 got pushed through. The Senate approved. So now we are waiting to see if it's going to become law. And it would not make you have to have a concealed weapons permit to conceal and carry a firearm in the state of Texas. You could open carry, you could conceal carry. As long as you are legally able to possess a firearm, then you can pretty much do whatever you want.
Yeah. Oh, Florida, do it. But yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised at all that Texas goes ahead and just makes this a done deal. I'm sure the same laws would still apply. Like if you were interacting with a police officer and they ask you if you're carrying a weapon, you'd have to let them know, that kind of stuff. But other than that, hell yeah, man. We've seen what happens. Did you see the shooting that took place in Texas in a church about, I want to say it was about a year ago, where everybody, well, that wouldn't have been a year ago. Maybe it was a little bit over a year ago, where some gunman came into a church and started shooting, and two other gentlemen got up and they took him out. They took him out like a bad day.
In like the front row, right? It was kind of near the front of the church.
I believe he came in towards the back end of the church, but the
Okay.
men interacted with him pretty quickly. Like they
Okay.
weren't just sitting there, like for me, I would be skirming around trying to figure out where my crayon fell by the time they walked, or the guy would have walked in. That, I would have probably responded very quickly as well. Actually, I know I would have responded quickly, but these gentlemen, like, it's almost like they were just like, all right, now it's time. I've been waiting for this. Spin it, baby.
It's going to be
It's a revolver. Spin it.
This is our time. It's like everyone waiting for Saturday for Dogecoin for Elon to go on Saturday Night Live. Like, this is the moment. Yeah, I'm psyched. That's, if there was any place that I would, how do I word this? So if there was
delicately,
right? Delicately. I think you know what I'm trying to say. If I'm going to use, not me, if I'm narrating a story about someone who wants to shoot up a place, right? A crazy person wants to go shoot up a place. I would not tell them that Texas would be the best place to do it. That wouldn't be the number one place. So it's great to see. I mean, again, I cannot wait to see the statistics as far as, does this deter gun violence or does it increase? And because if it deters gun violence, that all of the left are going to be so pissed off. Just as pissed off when Caitlin was like, we talked about the transgender sports. Like, they were going to be so pissed. Or
just as pissed off as Biden got with Ron DeSantis when he was trying to get him to lock down the state, and then Ron told him no.
Yeah.
You're going to make all the other states that are locked down and making people wear masks and holding all of these restrictions that Dr. Fauci and I are pushing out there. You're going to make us all look bad. Come on, man. Do the thing. No, you fucking lunatic. All right. So, yeah, as far as that goes, it's going to be pretty interesting because it will end up working against that narrative. The narrative that, gun violence and the more guns that legal firearm owners have, the more likely you are to have more crimes because people are going to have access to guns more. And I'm like, yeah, this is the stupidest fucking argument. And it really is. And the argument persists because people don't know how to turn their CNN off and their MSNBC. So all they keep doing is this whole little. Yeah, here they come. Here they come. Come on, Libbies.
Yeah.
There they are. Here's, tune in at 6 for feeding time. Come on up. We got sweet feed on today's episode. Yeah. Come on in. Get yourself some food. Don't worry. We're going to tell you exactly how to think now. And don't forget, when you do go off and you get them their shots, you're going to get the shot, you're going to protect yourself, and you're going to wear your mask, and then you're going to get really angry and upset at anybody you see that isn't wearing their mask. And then if you find out people are pushing back against the vaccine, you're going to be angry at them too, because that's how you're supposed to be.
I feel like now they're really starting to get exposed. The people that I know are more, I guess you could say, moderate Democrats. Before the election of 2020, it was, Trump's bad. And now, after 5 months of being in office, less than 5 months of being in office, Joe Biden supporters are saying, well, it's a hard job for everybody.
Yeah.
Because they're getting so ridiculous. Like, it's so ridiculous. And I love, now I'm starting to see, especially on social media, especially a lot more news networks, I guess, in my circle, are starting to really expose some of the crazy narratives that the Democratic Party is doing. And I feel like now the radicals are definitely running the show. Most of the moderates are either quiet or they're just going with the flow. And yeah, it's quite insane, to be honest with you. Our political theater right now, it's insanity.
Yeah, I find it to be, it's kind of comical, but at the same time, there's huge consequences. Looking at something that is, hypocritical and absolutely riddled with irony, it makes me want to laugh, and it makes a lot of people want to laugh, I'm sure. But the drawback is that we live in a country that people can tell you how to live your life, even if they don't even live in an area that you live in. They don't live with the kind of lifestyle you live with. They don't, they don't understand what you go through in your life. They can say whatever the hell they want. And as long as they get enough people to agree, it doesn't matter. You don't have a choice. If you're outvoted, you're outvoted. And that's where some of this becomes a bit of a problem. So yeah, it's, like I'd mentioned in a previous episode, an AR-15, it's an excellent weapon. It's an excellent defense weapon. But if you live in an apartment that is, 900 square feet, surrounded by other people that you can hear them drop a pan in their kitchen, or, they had beans the night before and a loud fart in the morning, you can just, they're right there. You're going to look at it and be like, well, this is absolutely ridiculous. Why would somebody need a weapon like that? Look at all these instances all over the place where these kind of things are happening. Well, if you've looked at absolute statistics, you'll find out that AR-15s and rifles are actually on the lower end of weapons used to assault other people. Handguns are at a higher level, and knives are at a higher level. Vehicles are at a higher level. There's all kinds of things that are actually above rifles and firearms when it comes to the firearms and or other statistics for violent crime. It just so happens that the things that we hear about that have higher shock value that the news wants to support a narrative with, they're going to put it in your face so often that you can't even scratch your ass without finding out that, that they have an opinion on something. So, yeah. So as far as that goes, look further into stuff. Details matter. If you want something on a shirt, that needs to be on a shirt. Details matter. Details illuminate, dishonesty and bullshit. So if you want to get past it, we got to go that route. So I would like to see the statistics in Texas versus New York, or the worst in the entire country, Chirac, which is Chicago. Highest murder rate. I mean, across the board, everything's the worst in Chicago. And the mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, blames it on the surrounding states that actually have lower or looser gun laws than they do in Illinois. And when I say looser gun laws, that doesn't mean that the pants are falling off. They can do whatever they want. No, it's on a Tinder date. Slow down there, Becky. It's more of the issue is that they have real tight restrictions, but they also have a significant crime rate. And there are places that the police don't respond to very quickly there simply because of their own well-being. I wouldn't want to rush into a group of people trying to protect them and hold law and order and keep the peace, only to find out that no matter what I do, damned if I do and damned if I don't. So I wouldn't rush either, even though I would still be invoked to get there. But I would definitely have a hesitancy in my own mind about getting, to do what I need to do. But with all that being said, it would be great to see one more state get to the constitutional carry. Little that most people know. Did you know that there's 4 states in the country? Now we have a 5th one. That is the firing squad is a death option.
Yeah, I'm not sure which states, but I do know that some states they let you pick. You have an option.
Yep, electric chair. The 3 most common options: electric chair. Lethal injection and firing squad.
What would you pick?
Well, if I had to pick one of them, well, I'd rather go out like some of the politicians in a hotel room. I'd be right midway in and then a stroke and a heart attack at the same time. And I just, lights out. Or just a straight up, like, just done, aneurysm. I'm out.
Done.
Now, I feel bad for whoever she is, but, go out like a freaking, go out like a god. That's what I'm talking about. So
it will be terrifying.
Iowa is one of the states that actually has the firing squad. Yeah. I believe that was Iowa. I'm sorry. No, it's many from Chicago fleeing. Okay. Yeah. I think it was Idaho. We'll look it up. We'll actually get the states in here so that we find out who actually is still slinging the firing squads. While I look that up.
It might not be too soon, Chad, on the Texas topic. Matthew McConaughey could be holding the reins the not so distant future as the Texas governor. And we talked about this last show. We didn't want to dive too much into it because Chad and I were really not quite sure what's going on. So it's based on a poll, Chad, that they ran as far as Matthew McConaughey, current governor, was it Greg Abbott, and 20% was other candidates, a libertarian or what have you, just different candidates. And Matthew is actually the leader. He was 40% approval rating over the current governor, Greg Abbott. So I'm guessing that's where a lot of this, because he still hasn't officially said he's going to run. This is all speculation. So I can see it happening. I actually have a bet with someone. We discussed this earlier that I said Matthew McConaughey will be the governor of the state of Texas. And she was like, no, he won't. I'm like, I'm going to message you. I'm going to screenshot it when it happens, and I'm going to send it to you. So what do you think, Chad? 40%.
I think that there's a pretty damn good chance he's going to run, but I really hope that people look past the celebrity and look at policy. What does he stand for? I personally like Matthew McConaughey for a lot of the things that he says. He has more common sense. He's a lot of logic. He does have a pretty strong background, or at least a grasp on philosophy. But he does lean more to the right than he does the left for more conservative values. But when he got to gun control, he lost me. I want to see his real stance on it. I don't know if that was just because of his public, conversation about gun control, but yeah, he was definitely talking about, restricting specific firearms and things like that in the state of Texas if he wins. So I want to find out more about exactly how he really stands, not just maybe he stands here, or maybe it's just he said it on, a pre-campaign conversation. But I do want to see that. Now, I do want to get a quick update before we continue on with Matthew McConaughey. So here are the states that actually currently have the firing squad as an option to as far as a death penalty and execution. So Mississippi, Oklahoma, Utah, and South Carolina is about to be the fourth state to allow it. So interesting. I thought that we were completely done with that, but no, it's true. We've got it we have it in certain states.
You said I could see Mississippi for sure. What about, and you said Oklahoma too, correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That would be my one guess, was Oklahoma would have it.
Yeah. And Utah.
Utah is interesting.
Utah don't be fucking around in my state.
Yeah. Heard it's a great place to live. Never personally been. But I mean, maybe someone can run out there and take Mitt Romney's seat, and we can have, I can't think of any famous people that live in Utah. I know a lot of famous people live in Utah, but Matthew McConaughey. So what I do know about Matthew, I've read his book. It's actually a really good book. It's called Green Lights. It's a really interesting book, and the way he writes it is very interesting. I've seen him in interviews. Obviously, his movies, he's very good, but that doesn't really give me I guess it gives me some depiction of his character, because if you're going to be that good at acting, then you're diligent in your craft and you're hardworking and you know how to achieve goals. So from that aspect, I do think he's qualified to run, and he would be able to at least perform the job to his highest level. I don't know if the highest level, but I agree. I like the idea of people who are not in politics but have a lot of experience in life, business people, actors in this case. We're seeing that a lot more. I like to see those people stepping up to the plate and bringing whatever skill set they have to the table. But I agree with Chad. We need to make sure that those people also have political ideologies and ideas that you agree with, or you think that your state agrees with, before we just start casting votes based on solely that they were in, The Lincoln Lawyer, which is, a great movie. But
yeah, no, hey, look, it's not always a bad thing when we do get somebody that's not a career politician to get to the high office, whether the high office is governor of the state or the presidency. Reagan was not a career politician. He was a movie star. He was an actor prior to becoming a president. So he didn't spend much time in politics up until his presidency. That's what a lot of people don't know about Reagan. Like, he was an actor? Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Yes, he was. Yeah. Hey, Trump was an actor.
Mhm.
He's acted in a couple movies. Not wasn't where he made his money, that's for damn sure. Little cameos here and there. Everybody loved him too, by the way. How many rappers loved that man before he became president? Because the media didn't really say anything about it, but he was a status symbol. I hung out with Trump, man. I went out and did all this stuff, whatever. You know, now, yeah, whatever. The media just goes to show you how credulous people really are. A lot of people are. All you have to do is hear Don Lemon, cry about something, which, by the way, I'm not to digress away from, but I don't have a whole lot to say about my Matthew McConaughey running for office right now. Still really young. The biggest thing I have to say about that is just pay attention to what their policies and politics really are, not just if they're reaping or using party line statements. Like I've said that I'm skeptical of Caitlyn Jenner simply because I'm hearing a lot of Republican talking points out of her, and I don't. Like, I want to see that there's actually a reality behind that, not just a, hey, I'm going to run on the Republican ticket. The state's been blue too long. Gavin Newsom is a nightmare, which is all true. But I don't want to see Caitlyn Jenner get elected just simply because she's saying all the things that are right to say. I want to see the politics as truly there. So, but Don Lemon, so I can finish that little side statement. He was recently on there was a conversation. They're putting him and Chris Cuomo in conversations regularly, or more often now because their ratings have gone to shit. But Don Lemon was talking about the plight of Native Americans. And have you ever listened to somebody talk and that they're faking emotion to just try to hold a higher position of emotional leverage or currency with you? That's exactly how it was. I mean, it was such a bad conversation.
Like
It's like,
empathy. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Like, yeah, I know exactly.
but you could hear his voice cracking. You could hear like he was getting really upset over stuff that I've never talked about before. But we got to make something relevant. Our ratings are falling, people. Yeah, your ratings falling because you fucking suck. And you're a goddamn liar. Both of them. Don Lemon. He's as bad as Trevor Noah. Actually, I don't know. They're both horrible. So anyway, all right. I'm not on here to just name drop and bash the shit out of those people over metaphorically. Not like I'm gonna go do it. Stupid freaking idiots out there that are they love things out of context. Anyway, all right, I digress again. So the Texas governor race, once that's announced, we'll definitely get further into that. I am excited to see that. Really, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with the crime rate. Although Texas is not known for a lot of crime, especially not a lot of gun crime. So, and I think it's for a pretty damn good reason. There's a lot of countries also that knew that they didn't want to invade United States as the land itself and coming over with their troops, because they knew if they got past our military, they had to deal with the citizens. That would be more of a militia. That would be the next wave. And that's not something that they wanted to get into. This is actually Russia talked about this. It was Russia, and I believe there was one other country that's like, no, we don't want to do that. No, we'll take them on over here. We'll try to destroy their infrastructure, but we're not gonna go hand to hand in that country. So if they could get their ships here,
So that right, that would be a disaster. There is someone I would like to see get bashed up, Chad, in the most professional way, of course, and it's Logan Paul, one of the two people. So we've talked about this on the chat on the show before. The Logan Paul Floyd Mayweather fight. It's set for June 6th. It's a Sunday fight, which I found interesting. Normally fights are on Saturdays, sometimes Fridays. You don't really see a lot of Sunday shows, and it's being broadcast by Showtime. So pretty large organization. Yesterday was the first press conference for it. It was held in Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. So of course the fight's taking place in Miami because even Logan Paul, as much of a douche as he is, he knows that Miami's the place to hold fights, and of course so does Floyd, and of course so is the country. So of course it's in Florida. But
Florida's still freedom. So
have,
yeah, you know.
have you looked into this at all, Chad? Do you know any information about this whatsoever?
The only thing I've caught was Mayweather talking a little bit about it with a report on an interview, and he really kind of like tangented off, kind of like sometimes I do, with a really it's just off into something that almost seemed like a story that he had with somebody else or a conversation with somebody else, but then he brought it back around because he's talking about, like, you know, as you get older, life happens, and you just want to like start hedging your bets differently. And I get it. What's happening is he's getting older, and you get hurt easier as you get older, and he doesn't want to really get hurt bad or even set himself up into a fight that he has a pretty good chance of losing. So he's talking about it, and then he goes, sometimes you got to go do this to get your money. You got to do this to get your money. And he kept saying something almost verbatim. And then he goes, but Logan Paul, yeah, I'll take that money. I'm like, yeah. I mean, Logan Paul, he thinks he's going to go in and beat Mayweather. We just had freaking, shit. Now I forgot his name.
His brother?
No, UFC.
Ben Askren?
No. He was our fighting Irishman.
Oh, McGregor.
Thank you. God, I had a brain fart. I mean, I got seized up on that brain fart too. It was one of those, like, I think I might have just brain sharded one myself. Yeah. I mean, he's winning the ring with McGregor. I'd like to see Logan Paul get in there with McGregor. And just like, yeah.
He wants it.
He does?
Yeah, that's all he wants. That's his only goal.
He wants to get in there with McGregor?
Well, Jake does, his brother.
Jake.
That's all Jake wants. Logan, as much shit as we talk about these two, the fact that we're talking about them tells me that they're some of the best marketers ever. And it's going to be amazing, not only just to watch this spectacle of an event that is, I mean, let's not forget, I think Floyd is going to work his ass. But Logan is 6'2" and 190, and Floyd's my size. So Floyd's not very big. If you haven't been around me, I'm about 5'8", 160. So I'm not the biggest guy. Doesn't mean that you have to be, Floyd's size is going to be a massive disadvantage, but it is a disadvantage. So to watch Floyd Mayweather, who is probably the best promoter of himself of any human being who's ever existed,
I'll give him that.
I guess in the sports world, if you look at, I still believe he's the number one most paid athlete of all time, is Floyd Mayweather. And then we have Logan Paul and Jake Paul, who are some of the best marketers on YouTube, social media. I mean, these kids were Disney kids. He was on Vine. They've created this empire, and literally he's fighting Floyd Mayweather. So we can't say that they're just buffoons. They know what they're doing. But I mean, here we are, Chad.
You know what I want to see? I want to see Cash Me Outside Girl go in with Ronda Rousey. Yeah, let's do that. I mean, let's set it up.
Ronda might kill her. I'd like to see her fight Cardi B.
Oh, you know what? Cardi B could get the Stallion to come in with her too.
She'd work her. Yeah, Cardi B would probably beat the hell out of her. Cardi B might beat me up, Chad. I'm a little scared.
Yeah, she might beat you up because she's going to drug you. She'll rob you. She might rape you. You never know.
But so
Bill Cosby did, but because of virtue of the fact that #me too, she's cool.
Right.
Do whatever she
wants. So there was some shenanigans, as you can expect, Chad. So I'm glad you haven't seen this. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube if you really wanted to. But Jake Paul was in a face-off. Him and Floyd got into an argument. So Logan's brother, they got into an argument, and Logan, or excuse me, I'm explaining the difference, and I mispronounced their name. They're almost identical. But Jake takes Floyd's hat off during this face-to-face stare-down shit-talking and runs away like we're in 8th grade again and is yelling, "I got your hat. I got your hat. I got you." And, of course, they swarm him. To be honest with you, it's a little bit WWE. Like, if Floyd was actually pissed when his boys were holding him, Floyd would have been hitting him with uppercuts. But maybe that's part of the genius that is Floyd Mayweather, to not be too deep into the moment and realize a stunt like that can fuck it up. But it's
I'm going with that. It's an act. I'm going with an act.
Yeah.
No, McGregor and Mayweather did it. They were fucking on stage everywhere and just being absolutely just over the top.
Yes.
No, so I'm going with it's an act.
I believe so too.
But then again, the people that like Jake Paul, he's a goofball. Like he's in my opinion, he's probably a sociopath, but he does some absolutely outlandish, ridiculous, and childish shit. He's just playing into the character that people know him to be. Now, is he like that in real life? Probably not. He probably is a version that's a little bit more refined and a little bit more mature. Because if he was absolutely that over the top all the time, he'd be sued out of oblivion.
Oh, yeah.
No, so, yeah. But, yeah, so he was running around. I didn't see that, but I can imagine it. So he'd grab the hat off the face-to-face, and then he like a kid.
Ran off. He got it tattooed on him. He got a hat with the "I got your hat" tattooed on his leg.
Is he trying to start a trend? Because I think TikTok will probably take off with it.
I don't know. I mean, so Floyd during the press conference actually he said that he would fight Logan and Jake on the same night. He said, "I'll fight Logan first, and then after he's done, we'll bring Jake in." And I can attest to this. So as we talked about this before, I did an extensive amount of training in boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu from about 13 to 25, I think is when I kind of called it quits, so to speak. And when I was first beginning, when I was learning boxing, we had a boxing trainer who would come into the gym that would help our gym out because we were predominantly more of a jiu-jitsu gym with boxing. And he was the father of a boxer named Ebo Elder. And Ebo was on the show called The Contender. Do you remember that, Chad? It was like a boxing reality show. It only had a few seasons. But Ebo, you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
He was on that show, and Ebo would get called from Floyd, and Floyd would fly him in to be one of his sparring partners. So Floyd would do this to a lot. He would hire the best guys, and he flies them in. They all train with him. And Ebo said that what they would do, he said that they would do like 5 10-minute boxing rounds. 10-minute. Remember, guys, in a professional boxing match, the rounds are 3 minutes long. So he would do 10-minute rounds to where every 3 minutes, a new sparring partner would come in fresh and Floyd would stay in there.
Damn.
And he said that, imagine the brutality that you would have to face in that. If you've ever been in that situation before, you in wrestling, jiu-jitsu, we call it, what is it called? We had a name for it. Dang it. Oh, we call it the gauntlet, where in order to get your belt, you had to go through the whole class and you stayed in and you get a new person every 2 minutes. So Floyd would do the gauntlet every training camp. And he said that, Ebo's father said that Floyd would still whoop their ass. He would be talking shit to him during it. So I don't know if Logan knows that. Like that is another being.
What's their consolation prize? So Floyd's going to get what? At least $100 million is what he's going to sign for. Right? Just to fight Jake. What's the consolation for them? What did they get for losing, for fighting? I mean, they're going to get something. They're going to get paid for it.
Oh, yeah. But as far as their loss, probably nothing, right?
I'm sure they get paid something for just getting in the ring.
Yeah. They'll get paid something. I guess what I'm saying is that what they're actually going to lose is nothing.
Yeah, they won't lose anything. It's a win-win no matter which way.
Yes.
The only person who stands any way of losing anything in the ring is if Jake beats Mayweather.
Yep.
That is the only way there's a loss in that ring. Because you've got YouTubers that are previous Disney Club kids that are now going into a ring with a world-class fighter, a guy that has beat people from other countries that are the best of the best.
Undefeated. Never lost.
So you've got all of that, and they're going in Like, that's hella promotion to even get him or other people to say, you know what? Here's the ticket. We're going to pay you. We'll pay you $100 million to go in the ring with him. Go in the ring and win. That is insane. And it's not like, oh, you got to fight all day long. No, you got one match. Well, you got one partner you got to fight, right? Yeah. With 6 matches, right? And the possibility to go to 6.
So they're going 6 rounds. That's what they're doing.
So you got one person you got to go fight. And Floyd's like, I'll fight both of them.
Back to back.
You know, and if they both end up signing up for that, everybody wins. Everybody does. Like, who's going to go around saying, I got my ass kicked by Mayweather and not be proud of the fact you got to fight him? You
exactly.
know? It's like Tyson. It's like, yeah, I got knocked out by Tyson. Remember Hurricane, what's his face? Hurricane Joe or whatever the hell his name was. He got in there. It's like, you know, he's supposed to be they called him the Great White Hope. No, he's going to get in there and he's just like, he talks so much trash.
So much.
But you Italian or an Irishman? I forgot. I think it was an Irishman.
He was from New York. So I know exactly what you're talking about. He talked so much shit before.
He's a big dude. Got in there. He talked so much shit going in, and he lasted like 14 seconds.
Got killed. Just
yeah. That's insane. So, you know, and he could go around and be like, look, I still stood toe to toe with him. Even though that toe to toe was like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's no one loses in this fight. Again, only if they somehow beat Mayweather. And it's Mayweather's game. They're not boxers. They've done mixed martial arts. They've done different types of fights, but they're not career boxers.
No. And Floyd, so I'm a boxing fan. I don't normally watch boxing matches. I don't go out of my way to watch them just because I came from more of a grappling background, so mixed martial arts is more of something I enjoy, but I love the sport of boxing. My favorite boxer has always been Floyd Mayweather. And if you're new to the sport, you don't know too much, or you haven't really dived too far into what is boxing. So first thing about Floyd is Floyd doesn't have a vice. Floyd doesn't drink. Floyd doesn't do drugs. Like, Floyd does not, all Floyd does is box. That's it. Even to this day, he can't help it. That's all he can do. And what makes Floyd so good, Floyd is like a computer system. So like the first 2 rounds with Floyd, he doesn't even try to touch you. All he tries, he downloads your movements. That's the best way I can put it. And it's amazing to watch, no matter who you are. Pacquiao, he's 50-0. He's beaten everyone he's ever faced in a professional boxing match. And he can just, the moment when he knows what you're going to do, there's nothing you can do to stop it. He's not where you think he's going to be. He bobs. He knows how to hit angles. He's one of the best angles boxers I've ever seen in my life. And what I mean by that is, think about it like this. If you have someone in front of you and their foot is leading their other foot, they have one foot in front of the other, and you push them, they're not going to go anywhere, right? They're not going to go anywhere. But Floyd is able to cut these angles to where he can have you squared up where your feet are side by side one another and just rock you. So even if he doesn't actually stun you, you're going to fall over because he knows how to get your angles. And they call boxing the sweet science, and Floyd Mayweather is the conductor of the sweet science in boxing, in my opinion. I can't wait for it, Chad.
Yeah. Well, I've got our time, by the way, on how long that actually went. So just to continue on my little rant about Tyson, and not even really a rant, but my mention and to get the data on it. The timeline was the guy's name. They called him Hurricane Peter McNeely.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the first round. It was 90 seconds in, and it was Tyson's first fight back after coming out of prison. And there was so much trash talked leading up to that. And man, that guy, yeah, it's insane. 90 seconds, he was on his back flat. Yeah, it was over. That was something else. No, not like getting a little bite of Holyfield's here, but you know what? When you're hungry, you need a snack.
Right. Floyd.
I do have some time in here, by the way. This is a question that I have for you, Joshua.
Okay.
But my buddy Chris just jumped in and he said the beard's looking good. Mustache is strong, real strong. Wow, thank you. So my question for you, appreciate the acknowledgement there, Chris. I've been growing it, and I got jealous as a young man. Knew I needed to grow one of these. Joshua, when are you going to grow the beard, bud?
I can't. It's impossible.
What?
Yeah. I mean, the older I get, so now I actually have to shave like once a week. So this is the new development. I probably didn't have to shave once a week until I was 28, current age. Beforehand, Chad, I could go months without shaving. I don't know if it's a genetic thing, if it's the fact that I'm Irish. I don't understand. But I can't grow facial hair. I have a great head of hair, but for some reason, I just facial hair is not my friend. And when it does grow in, it's like patchy. It's more
like
Joe
Dirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I might as well just shave it. I think, unfortunately, I've been born with this pretty boy kind of look anyway, so I might as well just embrace it to the fullest amount that I can, Chad, and just be clean shaven my whole life. I would like to grow one. I'm not opposed to it. I don't have that gift.
You know what I could see you doing though? The Red Baron type little mustachio.
I do
and
that.
then the goatee,
Sure.
And the goatee. Yep. And you can walk around and act like you have a French accent.
Right. I want a mullet too, just to be honest. Just to about. I could rock it. 100%.
Hey, I could see you out there on the golf course too, getting into stance. You got that little mullet just whipping in the breeze.
Yeah. I can do it.
Got people in the back screaming, "Will you take the damn shot?" Play through. Yep.
Yeah, I could do it. So we'll see what happens. I can't wait. June 6th. Put down in the comments who you think's going to win. Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather. What do you think? How do you want it to end? How do you think it's going to end? I'm predicting. What am I predicting? It depends. If I'm pretty sure Floyd is going to get in there, and within that first 20 seconds, he's going to be like, "This guy's a joke." Like, I know everything he's going to do. I know what he telegraphs his right hand. When he throws his left hook, he drops his hip a little bit. He's going to pick him up like that. So he'll probably carry him. I mean, I know he'll finish him. Like, Floyd won't let it. Like, he has to finish him. He has to take it not to the judges. So I'm predicting a fifth round TKO by Floyd, because I think he might be able to knock Logan clean out if he can catch him the right way. But Floyd's not really a power puncher. He's not really known for that. He's more of a pick you apart. And I mean, he TKO'd Conor McGregor, but again, it was like a cold hard knockout.
Then again, you don't need a lot of power you just have to have the right hit to knock somebody out, like legitimately just lights out. So he could pull it off. Who knows if he goes in there and he's just not in the mood, and there's no stipulation in his contract that the match, in order for him to get the payday that they promised him, that he needs to do X amount of rounds. There's no telling. He may go straight in there like freaking in the movie Snatch, where Brad Pitt goes in and he's like, "You got to take the fall." Then he's like, fuck it, I'll kill the dude.
Great movie, by the way.
Yeah. So who the hell knows what's going to happen? Again, it's not really necessarily my sport, although I will sit down with some of my friends, have a few beers while we're watching, a boxing match. I'll actually pay attention to that too, mostly. More so than I would do with, the American pastime of baseball, and definitely more than, me not even being in the stadium for football. So yeah, I'm actually taking a knee on tender when that stuff goes on. But never mind. This is a bad joke. I'm not going to go any further with. So with all that being said, yeah, we're going to see. But just put in your comments. If Joshua just did a dab, the little dance move. Wait for it.
Right, little dab action. The Dracula.
Yep. So put it in the comment section. Do it on YouTube, not Facebook, whenever this video is published. So throw it on there and put down what you think. What's your predictions? So with that, next subject, my man.
I mean, as far as me, Chad, that's filled my books a little bit. We have obviously crypto's popping off. We're in a very, very bull run cycle that is the crypto market, meaning that things are going up. Dogecoin, I haven't really checked it today. Let's take a look at it for all our crypto listeners. And I'm having more and more people come up to me, Chad, and mention that how into crypto they are, and this is my goals for crypto, and this is what I have. It's amazing. It's either really good or really bad, Chad. That's kind of where we're at. It's really good. The skeptic in me, as much of a crypto fan as I am, and as much research and knowledge I try to devote the hours of my day to understand it at a higher level, I still have skepticism as far as what does this mean moving forward. You know, there's a wise woman once told me that if you're, and she's a little bit older, I'm not sure if this position even exists anymore, but she said that if your shoe shiner ever tells you about a stock, you know there's a bubble. That was her advice she gave me. So the fact that now I have these random people who are not really into investing whatsoever approaching me, not really knowing, maybe I maybe guess to a point knowing that I'm somewhat educated on the topic, that now they're pitching me their ideas of what they think is going to happen. It's either really good and we're on the brink of a revolution in the future, and this is going to carry us into the next financial market to where our great grandkids will reap the benefits, or this is some giant .com bubble like in the early 2000s that it just explodes.
Yeah.
So just hang on, boys and girls. We're going to figure it out. I promise you that. We're gonna get this thing done.
You know, there's somebody that I've watched on one of my social medias, and some of the things that he has to say is pretty interesting. He is a bit more well-established. He's got a few things going on for him. It's actually not a bad situation for him overall. So he's played his cards pretty well in his life, but he had not mentioned a single thing about this. He actually spends more time talking about like when socialists are coming out and like what's going on with the Democratic Party, what he had to say during the election. He's got all these different topics. And then now it's like all that I see, and I'm sure that everybody has this person on their friends list or involved in their social media somewhere. Almost everything he's publishing now has to do with Doge and how he got in, and now he's out and he's made all this money off of it, or he made a pretty good amount of money off of it. And he's advising people you should back out when you still got the chance, you know, and all this. And I'm like, dude, shut up. Just shut up. All right, first off, where the hell are you at? You came in at like whenever Doge hit, like, was it 51 cents or something like that? And then you bought in, and then it hit 69, and then you saw it going back down, and then you're all like, oh my God, I got to sell it. And then telling people it's not going to get back up there. At best, it may get to 51 cents and all this. And I'm like, oh my God, dude.
Paper hands. He's got that paper hand problem, Chad. A lot of people got paper hand problems. That's what worries me about Doge, that there's so many new investors in there that don't understand that this is not some rocket ship that they're depicting it. And it very well could be a lot of volatility, and you could lose 40, 50, 60% of your money while you're asleep and you're not aware. So I've heard stories of people buying Doge on credit cards.
Oh God, yeah.
Yes, it's insanity. So I am invested in crypto. Maybe I had a boat. I don't know where the boat went. So I might have some, I might not, but make sure if you do choose, I'm not a financial advisor, this is for entertainment purposes only. If you do choose to invest and see what happens, put what you can afford. Don't go get a credit card and put $20,000 worth of Dogecoin on it because you think it's going to go up. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you could blink your eyes and this whole thing could go to zero. And you got to understand, getting into that, there's a lot of volatility. And there's a lot of other better crypto that you can invest in besides Doge. So don't.
Better crypto.
Better, much better.
We have to get to that once you finish up your the cautionary disclaimer.
You knew that I was in there, right? You knew that I was digging in. So again, I'm super happy for Doge investors. I'm not, as much clout as I get for this, but just be careful. Know what you're doing. Make sure that if this money were to disappear, that your life wouldn't be changed in major ways, and just do your due diligence and be prepared for some bumpy roads along the way. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This can go to like that. A crazy day in the stock market, Chad, is actually, I'm pretty sure that a crash in the stock market, a stock market crash is 20%. So if stocks were to drop 20%, that would be considered a stock market crash, 20% or more. Crypto, it drops 50% overnight sometimes. So it's a lot of volatility. Now, a lot of them recover just like that because people see some of the value, but just be careful.
Yep. I have a quote from a wise man I once worked with. His name is John Worth. Love this guy to death. He's one of the very eccentric man, but very, very intelligent. And he said once, never trust anyone with something you can't live without. I'm like, all right, John. So with that being said, if you don't have the money right now, you're probably not in a good place to go and throw money into the market. I didn't know you could actually put stocks on credit cards because of the potential of charging it back. But hey, don't do that. I mean, I'm going to suggest don't do that. Don't do that for your family. Don't do that for the people in your life. Don't do that for the people you probably owe money to.
I think, Chad, I think it's actually called buying on margin. So when you sign up for an account, it's still essentially a credit, though. The brokerage is crediting you a certain amount that you can buy on margin that you have to pay interest on. But if you invest all of your margin, and this has happened to a lot of people. Actually, not too long ago, a couple of years ago, a kid bought a lot on margin. I think $700,000 worth of credit on margin, and it all went to zero, and he lost it all, and he ended up committing suicide. So
that's what he's talking about. Buying on margin is buying options. When you buy through options,
you just buy it on credit. So the brokerage, like with every brokerage you have, or at least most, you can apply to where you buy on margin, and they'll give you a certain amount of credit based on the assets you have in your portfolio that should be able to cover that margin. So if you go to zero, they can just collect the assets that you have, and you'll be at square one. And for whatever reason, this guy had a lot in his account, and he definitely overextended himself, and his margin went to zero.
Well, what happened with that one in particular is what he did is he bought options. And with that, it's not like a stock you own. You just have it for a window. And you can cash it out earlier. You can let it go to maturity or whatever. The maturity is a date by time. And you put your money on it. And then once it expires, you either get whatever out of it that's at that point, however it's appreciated, or whatever's left from the money you put on from its depreciation. What this guy did is he had no idea what the hell he was doing. Somebody had suggested to him it was a good idea, did not go through the entire conversation around it, his liabilities, all the rest of this stuff, which actually even buying in options is, from what I understand, and again, not illegal advice and not financial advice. You can borrow money, but you're going to owe that, and they only let you borrow so much. But what happened with this case was they had a clerical error. And they sent him a bill for over $700,000 that he's supposed to owe, and he was a student at the time. And he checked it, and he looked at this massive number, and he's like, oh, that's pretty good, thinking that $700,000 is what he had actually made off of his investment. And it turns out that was what his debt was supposed to be. So he was freaking out over it. He sent emails to, I believe it was Robinhood, sent emails to them, and all he got back was generic replies. So, and then he got a bill of the money he's supposed to be paying back. And he had no way of paying it off. So eventually he sunk into a depression. And then before you know it, he did end up committing suicide. And after they found his body, it was within just a couple of days that his email account received an email from Robinhood stating, I'm pretty sure it was Robinhood, stating that he didn't owe any of that money. That was actually their mistake. And the debt was gone. It was never there. But he believed that it was there because that's what he was told. So, but he committed suicide over it. So I know that's kind of to the extreme. Just be responsible when you do this kind of stuff. So if you are going to invest something, I know a lot of people that have only put like $5 or $10 in. I put a couple of dollars in myself. It's nothing major, but I just happened to get enough in. early on, whenever it was really, really cheap. And it ended up giving me quite a few shares just off of a few dollars. So that's why I suggest people, if you're going to play with crypto, again, I'm just suggesting this. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not an advisor. You're welcome for all these goddamn disclaimers, but we're in a litigious society. Look for these currencies that are new, or that you do some research in, that maybe, has next to nothing as far as its costs. I have a friend of mine that put, what do you say, put $5 in on a particular currency that was valued at 0.0007. So, which means it's far from even being a penny. So he has, I think, over 40,000 shares or something like that for $5. Now, if that takes off and goes even so much as 1 cent, he's going to get a lot of money out of that. So just keep this in mind as you go along. You play it smart. Crypto is an interesting environment. Just be smart about what you're doing. All right. I don't want to put any more disclaimers out there, other than just, be responsible. Because it does fall into gambling mentalities, and or it does respond very similarly in the brain to gambling, and that can have an addictive value, and it can cause problems out of balance. So just be careful. All right. Now, what do you have, Mr. Joshua McClendon, as far as any new ones that you wanted to throw out there?
Well, I've talked about Ethereum a lot. I really like Ethereum. Chad, do I have to do a disclaimer every time I talk about this, or can I just do it once?
I would imagine that you can pretty much just throw it out there the one time. It's all in the side of it. People will just take the excerpt, but we could always prove we did say it with the original video.
That's true. Okay. So I really like Ethereum, and unlike Dogecoin, there are a lot of very smart investments that you can make with crypto. Bitcoin was one of them, obviously. Anytime you have a situation where an asset is limited, then there's always going to be an increase in demand. So, and the fact that Bitcoin is so strong, the price level, I think it was like 57,000 a coin. And so the volatility you're going to get out of a Bitcoin is not necessarily the same volatility you're going to get out of a Dogecoin, but there's still going to be some volatility. Bitcoin it's valuable. It's even some of the bigger hedge funds are getting in on Bitcoin. It's definitely the king of the cryptos, but Ethereum very well could be the king of cryptos one day, and it could overtake Bitcoin. In my personal opinion, I think it will. I think, to me, in my opinion, Ethereum is going to be one of the most valuable cryptos there is. It's going to be the most it's going to be the most applicable to our lives. You're going to see an immediate, actually already companies are already on using Ethereum's blockchain for this decentralized world computer, which we talked about in the last episode. Kind of gave you a little bit of a sneak peek, but it is going to be very, very useful, and it's already in use. And there's actually more developers, more people working on Ethereum than there are all other cryptos combined. So that's including Bitcoin. So there's much more development into Ethereum than there are other cryptos. But Cardano is another one that I really, really like a lot. And if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you'll see that I talk about Cardano a lot. And it's Ethereum's rival. It really is. So the Ethiopian government actually just picked up Cardano to use their blockchain to run their education system. So we already have a country that is using Cardano as their primary blockchain to use this new technology. It's faster than Ethereum. It doesn't necessarily mean that Ethereum is going to be completely erased. I don't think that's possible at this point. But Cardano has a lot of value, and it's not given the application that this crypto can give to the world, and is already giving, and it's still relatively cheap as far as the cost per coin. It could be amazing to see what it turns into, and it's more of a gamble than Ethereum or Bitcoin, but again, it's all about your opinion and what you think. A lot of this is speculation, so it's one that I like. It's one that I talk about a lot, and I'm sharing it with you guys. So take a look at it, see what you think. ADA is the name of their ticker or their symbol that you plug into. It's limited on some accounts. Again, it's just my opinion. It's just what I'm doing. And I hope you take a look at it, do your due diligence. And a lot of people that I know that are much smarter than myself, that are in the crypto space and in the investing space, are also really high on this Cardano. So I think it's a good one, Chad.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm going to look into it. Yeah, just to see where it's at. I mean, do you know what the price per unit or price per stock, price per share?
Let me check the old portfolio, Chad.
Check all the old portfolio.
I bought some today, actually, but then I lost it in a boating accident. I bought it. I got to get a new boat.
Yeah, you got to get a new boat because also you lost your guns, you lost your stock.
Lost everything.
Right.
Maybe the Cardano helped me get a new boat. Except I would never spend it on a depreciating asset like a boat. That's what, so let me rant. Check. Can I rant?
Yeah, absolutely. Give it to us.
Okay. So here's my one. Again, the Doge people are going to come after me because of this. So my whole thing with investing, actually, it's down a little bit. It's 162. So it's a good time to $1.62 a coin, Chad. It's actually a good time to jump in there. It's getting a little bit of a pullback, which is good. When it's red, you buy. $1.62.
How long ago did it come on?
It's been building. It's if you look at as far as market caps, I believe it's 6 or 7 as far as the largest market caps of coins. So there's a lot of backing behind Cardano. And a friend of mine today really explained to me very well. As let's say you have Geico as your insurance company. Let's say Geico is Ethereum. So Ethereum, the amount of data they're able to produce per second is much, much less than Cardano is actually able to produce to do the same thing. And Cardano is kind of the second guy in the room. So if you have Geico Insurance and you're seeing that Progressive has a better deal, but it's not necessarily enough to make you want to call your insurance company, switch over to Cardano, same kind of, the businesses using Ethereum could actually get more benefit out of Cardano for the same thing, but Ethereum's the first one in the door, and they've already had an established name, and they have a little more reputation behind their investors. So I like them both, but essentially they're going to coexist and almost be like Microsoft and Apple, in my opinion.
Okay. Interesting. I like that. Once you see that it has utility, it does seem like it gives it more of a life.
Yes.
So as soon as you can see that it is being used, like the country of Ethiopia using it as their education system, blockchain technology, get back to the Doge fanboys and girls, there are companies that are going to be accepting Doge as a payment method. What's that?
I like it. We're going to talk about this, and this is, I just remember my rant, Chad. So keep going.
All right, but that's more for me. I'm looking at how is it actually going to be used in our life so we can stop having a theoretical model of something and actually have some sort of tangible model. So if it can be used to buy things, it becomes more of a tangible than just a concept. Early on, you really couldn't do much with Bitcoin. You can buy it, you can trade it, but it really didn't have like a merchant option. No, you can trade it privately, but you didn't have a lot of merchant options early on. Now it does have merchant options. Which ones? I don't know. I don't own any Bitcoin. So I just pay attention to that because that's the outlier and the first to market, if you will. So now I'm looking at, okay, well, Doge is something that's supposed to be it was created to be a joke, from what I understand. And then people started getting behind it because they like trolling a lot of people and all this. And before you know it, it started to get legs that extended beyond the troll. Like it started to turn into like the trolling concept. It's no longer just to be funny and to make fun of people or poke fun at the establishment or whatever it is. Now it's starting to turn into something that actually has utility. And at this point, it does have utility. As utility, you can go and spend it to go purchase things. That's good. I'm just getting turned on to this new one, Cardona.
So I like where you're going with this, Chad. This is good. So the reason why crypto was invented was to make sure that something could be a storage of value. That's why Bitcoin was first created. There's a limited amount. Eventually, no more Bitcoin will be created, so you can store value in it. Dogecoin, right? There's an unlimited amount that it's capped, but an unlimited amount can be put into supply. So my viewpoint is that make sure you don't invest too much in an unlimited asset to make a profit, and also a unlimited asset, which is the dollar. Don't forget, we can print as many dollars as you want. So when you really boil it down, the dollar is unlimited. So it's very similar to Dogecoin. And even though Dogecoin has been hyped up by a lot of people, and now some companies are choosing to accept it as currency, which I think is kind of a publicity stunt. Tesla, Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla, one of the biggest proponents of Dogecoin. And honestly, if you look at his last interview talking about it, he kind of did a little bit of a pullback, in my opinion. But Tesla, you can buy a Tesla with Bitcoin, but you can't buy it with Dogecoin. So the guy hyping up Dogecoin, I'm a big Elon fan. I'm not attacking him, but this was pointed out to me by someone else in this arena that, hey, Tesla will set Bitcoin, but you can't buy a Tesla with Dogecoin. So make sure that we don't, I think that a lot of these companies are saying, oh, we'll accept Doge as kind of they're probably in on the game and they're trying to hype the market up and push the value and say it has its usefulness. But here, the ringleader, you can't even accept cars from his business with Dogecoin. It's actually in Bitcoin, which again, we said earlier, has an appreciating value that is going to continue over time, unlike Dogecoin.
Let's imagine you walk into a Tesla dealership, and well, actually, they don't even have cars on there. Most of their dealerships don't even have cars there. You just order it online, what you want. But you go to the dealership and you go pick up your car, and you realize you bought that car with 2 Bitcoins. Or you got like one of the lower models and you bought it with 1 Bitcoin, and you got something left. So you got some change left. That's incredible that at one point in time I could have bought them for $20 a share.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And now it's like you could buy a Tesla vehicle for 1. Now, here's the thing though. He may have said, and currently the infrastructure they have is they will accept Bitcoin to buy a Tesla. According to you, I've not heard that at all. I'm not doubting it. I just haven't heard it. But I could see him do it because he really does like it. But how much did Tesla just sell off of their own Bitcoin?
10%.
10% of their holding?
Yeah, of their holding in Bitcoin.
Which was the equivalent of
$270 million.
$270 million.
Profit. So that was profit. So I'm not sure the exact number they actually pulled out, but they made $270 million on it. They wanted to prove the liquidity levels of Bitcoin, that if they needed assets that quick, they could have it.
Wow.
So in all reality, they did us a favor, because another big proponent behind why these certain currencies are getting much more exposure, such as Ethereum and Bitcoin, is that the hedge funds, the big companies, Tesla, are investing their own money into it. The Bulgarian government, a country, right? Bulgaria has billions of dollars in Bitcoin that they've invested that they're never going to sell. So that's going to prop up the value of Bitcoin always. Whereas Dogecoin, you're not really going to see the same kind of commitment on these really, really giant guys who can bring a lot of capital, countries, corporations. They're not going to be able to push it as high as, let's say, a Bitcoin or Ethereum. So it's much more of a pump and dump, hype, make sure you're in around the right time, get out when you think that's about it. And that's really why, like the stock market, that's a big reason why people are kind of starting to shy away from the stock market, because they understand how much of an advantage hedge funds have over the individual investor like us. They can move the market. Same thing with crypto. If you have bigger capital that you can put a stake in, you're willing to commit that amount of funds for X amount of time and not change it, you're going to build a new support for that asset. It's not going to drop below a certain way because you don't have paper hands, you're the Bulgarian government, and you're not going to sell. So that when you really start to paint the construct of what's more valuable and what's more acceptable, make sure that we don't, that this this Doge, and again, I'm not a hater, but Doge, there's a lot of fear of missing out, psychological attacks that are going on online, and they're targeting people that maybe necessarily, Chad, like we discussed earlier, buying things on credit cards, buying things on margin. We got to make sure that we do our due diligence and just don't let a very, very powerful emotion that is the fear of missing out and overtake our best judgment and do things we necessarily shouldn't do.
Yeah. Yes, I can't echo that enough. Be safe. Research. Tune in and listen to us. We'll talk about this stuff too.
Put it in the comments, guys. Put if you want to hear about something, put it in the comments. We love your feedback.
Yes. Yes, please. All right. Do you have anything else to cover as far as no? All right.
Saturday night. Hey, Saturday night. Elon, Saturday night. We're going to see what happens. If I'm you, this is just my opinion. This is what I'm doing. If I'm you, be watching that damn TV. Let's see what happens. If there's a peak, I got a good feeling it's going to be Saturday, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Hey, I'd like to see it. I absolutely would like to see it. So we will see, even if Saturday Night Live has become a dumpster fire in the last 15 years, but I'll wager a bet on it and say that this Saturday Night Live with Elon on it will probably have the highest ratings they've seen in probably 2 decades.
Yes, maybe ever. Maybe ever. Because of Doge. Yeah. Maybe ever.
With Doge going on top of that, yeah, I would say, yeah. So, okay. I don't have anything else to say about that for the time being. But Joshua and I are going to talk more about like some of our other activities when it comes to setting up for the show moving forward. So we'll kind of keep you guys updated as we continue to evolve everything. So, all right, last part of the show. And guess what, Facebook world? You guys got a limited edition video today, which is you got to go all the way to the end. And the very last topic on this, although I would suggest that you go to YouTube and check out the channel, subscribe, like the videos that you like, leave the comments on those videos that you want to leave, share the videos with people in your life, help us grow the channel, because Papa Bear needs a new laptop. Actually, I need a desktop for this and a few other fun little toys that goes for the show so we can give back better quality and potentially even get this to be something we do a little bit more frequently than the cramming this in with the rest of our lifestyle. So. All right.
We accept Bitcoin. We do.
Yeah, we'll accept Bitcoin if you want to give us a
bit. Don't matter. Send it this way. We'll accept it.
Yeah. Yes. We'll set up an account. Send it right over. All right. So it is Sir Uncle Chad's story time. All right. So I've been giving some stories about the unexplained up until today. I'm going to change it up a little bit. If you haven't caught any of these stories yet, because I've saved them for going on to the YouTube channel itself. It's in the videos that we've been producing in the last, it's in the last 2 episodes. So I'm going to change it a little bit. This isn't about the unexplained. This is a real life example of why, actually, you know what? I'm going to let you come up with why this particular story is important, especially in this day and age. So, little Sir Chad, 6 years old. I'm riding in the front of my father's 1988 Ford pickup. It's a Ford F-150. It's 4-wheel drive. It's nice. It's a 2-tone brown. So he bought it brand new. He's really proud of this truck. And we're driving up. Now, he'd had this truck for several years, but we're driving up to Pensacola from Brooksville. And I'm in the truck with my father, and my younger brother, who's 2 years younger. They're just under 2 years younger than me, is in the front seat with us. And it's just a bench seat. It's a single cab. That's it. So it's it's not the middle of the night, but it's later into the night. It's probably about 10:30, something like that. And the truck starts overheating. Now, I've already fallen asleep at this point. My younger brother had also fallen asleep at this point. And I'm in the floorboard of the truck, curled up. I got a pillow in there with me. And I'm just like, I'm just covered with a blanket. We're off for a weekend vacation with my dad, and it's my brother, Craig, and I. So we're on our way. And Craig's on the seat up on the seat, and I'm in the floorboard, like I said, but I'm comfortable, very comfortable. So you know what I do remember? I remember how hot the floorboard would get. And I remember how hot that would be on my butt when we were riding along. So I had to put like a blanket underneath that. So it kind of like gave me a little bit more insulation. So my dad goes, I remember waking up and he goes, oh, the truck's overheating. So he pulled off to the side of the road and he's out on the major interstate. But it's getting a little later. So it's not as much traffic, but it's off in the country. So it's a major road, but it's in the country, not the city. And he gets out. Oh, he goes to the front. I hear the hood come up. And I'm just laying there. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go back to sleep. The truck's just, he's got the truck off, but the cab light's on. Craig's up there. He's still sleeping. And then I hear a car slowing down because my dad had the door cracked. It was like, just partially ajar. So you could still hear road noise, but it wasn't sealed off, And so that's why the cab light was still on. And so I hear a car slow down, and then it's obviously it's stopping, pulls in front of the truck. Now I don't see this at the time. I'm just laying there, I'm laying in the floor or curled up in the floorboard trying to sleep. And then I hear some guys talking. Now it's muffled. I can't really understand what they're saying. And this conversation goes on for a couple of minutes. And then my dad comes back to the truck, and he goes into, he opens up the door. He goes, hold on, guys, just give me a second. I got my boys in here sleeping. Please just give me a minute. So he goes, I'll grab it. Just give me a minute. Opens the door, reaches over to the center console thing, or the little drop down from the seat. He pulls his, he had a 45 long barrel. Looks like Dirty Harry's gun. Pulls it out, and he pulls it out, and he holds it up like this, and he goes, do you guys want, do you want change, or you want just the money? Oh, and then you could hear the guys, you could hear the car door slam and the car engine just take off, right? Just to the floor, takes off. Oh, and my dad starts laughing. And my dad had this really interesting and kind of cute laugh. He's like, he. And he puts the gun back in the center console. And I'm like, what the hell is going on, Dad? Well, at 6 years old, I didn't say what the hell is going on in my dad. My dad did not like us cussing at that young of age. I was like, Dad, what's going on? He's like, oh, we just had a couple of guys stop by to try to help fix the truck. And I'm like, what did you get the gun out for? He goes, well, they didn't really want to help fix the truck. They just wanted to rob me. Oh, so what happened was, my dad, he told me the story as I'm sitting there, and again, I'm like 6 years old. Craig's awake, I'm awake, we're listening, and so the guy goes, or my dad goes, he was at the front of the truck. He had the headlights on so he could see in, because he had the light on, but he also used the headlights to get more visual, right? Because the light on the hood wasn't enough to illuminate the entire engine compartment. So he's over there working on it, and this car stops, and these two late 20-something year old guys get out, walk back over to him and say, hey, so what's going on? My dad's like, oh, I'm just working on my truck. He goes, would you like some help? And my dad goes, nah, I think I've got it. I don't really need any help, but I appreciate you stopping. And they go, well, how about this? Can you cash a check for us? And my dad goes, well, I really can't cash a check for you. Then they're like, well, then how about you just give us all the money you got? And then my dad's like, well, what? No, I'm not going to give you all the money. You misunderstand us. We're not asking. Oh, and one guy reaches to his belt loop, and the other guy's just smiling, thinking that they got the drop on my dad. So my dad walks over, and he's acting it out. He's like, you know what? He just needed to get to the truck to get to his gun. Now, this is a revolver. It was loaded. So and once he pulled it out, my dad's favorite part of the entire experience was the panic that went over those guys, because they were completely confident they were about to beat my dad's ass if he didn't give them money, because he wasn't going to be able to get away. His truck was not working. It was overheating. So, and then my dad on his way over, he's like, please stop. I've got, please just give me a second. I got my boys in the truck sleeping. They didn't give a shit about the fact there was kids in the truck. They didn't give a shit about any of this. They thought they had the advantage on my father. And my father showed them that he had quite a bit of an advantage on his own side. So now that's pretty much the end of it. But the end of that story ends with my dad laughing with his just, I gotta tell you, every time if I ever hear somebody laugh like that, I immediately go back to that moment and think, yeah. So what's the moral of that story? Especially in today's time, like in today's in this day and age, what's the moral of the story? So I do want to hear it from Joshua, but if you think Joshua's wrong, because I'm not going to actually answer the moral of the story, but I do want you to put that in the comment section, and obviously like it if you like it, and don't forget to subscribe to this. So Joshua, what do you feel the moral of the story is?
The moral of the story to me is a great quote that I tell a lot of people very often is that God made all men, but Colt made all men equal. So whenever you mess with someone, whenever you're going to get an altercation with anyone, you never really know what that person possesses or what they could know that is an advantage over you. So the best thing you can do is stick to yourself, keep your mouth shut, make sure you stick in your lane. And no matter, even if you do have an advantage over someone in some way, that doesn't give you the right to exploit that advantage over others. In this case, Chad's father, his car wasn't working, but they were unaware of the fact that he possessed the firearm. They tried to take advantage of Chad's dad in a situation where they thought they had the advantage. So you never really know if you have the advantage or not. And if you do have the advantage and you live in a state like Florida, where we have the most concealed weapons laws of any state in the United States, or excuse me, we have the most concealed carriers of any state in the United States, you better be careful who you're messing with. Not to snowball off of it, but there was a video, Chad, did you see, of the armored car that tried to get robbed, and they fucked them up. Like that car driver was one of the most cool cats I've ever seen in my life. Like I would not be able to handle that situation. But again, my point is, you never know what people know, and you have to do your due diligence and choose wisely.
Yes. So again, put your comments in the comment section for if you feel that there's another moral to the story, or if you want to add something to that, or if you took something from that. Also, anything else from today's episode, please feel free. We like to hear from you guys, and we do hear from you guys. We also have an email that you can send us stuff if you don't want to comment, but you do want to communicate us another way, or bring something to our awareness. I actually do have people coming up now asking me to talk about other things during the show that we haven't necessarily talked about before, or something that is at a different place in the lineup of options and what we'll discuss or topics. So that email address again, Joshua, is
wakingthepeoplepodcast@gmail.com. And I'm going to start the show its own Instagram. I've kind of been using my Instagram as the show's Instagram, essentially, its main platform on Instagram. But I'm going to go ahead and start the show on Instagram. We're going to have our own page, so look for that in the near future. It's a lot easier for me to interact with people on Instagram for some reason than it is other platforms. So be on the lookout for that.
Yep, it's coming. It's growing. You guys are a part of it. So, all right, with that, that's all I've got for today's episode. This was the 23rd episode in the lineup, and we are working on getting over 70 subscribers by the end of this month. So if you haven't already subscribed, please go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. Also Rumble and subscribe there as well. Hit the bell notification. You'll know when these videos go live, and pound that like button just like it's Netflix and chill. But with that, I am your host, Sir Chad Everett Broshears, and I am joined with Joshua. Do you want to give your own outro today?
I can. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Joshua the Kraken McClendon, the man that Prince, the man that Prince would sing about. I love Prince. I'm a big Prince fan. Every time I hear Prince now, I think of Chad quoting me as the man that Prince would sing about. Hope you have a great weekend. I really do want to see more subscriber interaction. I want to see more comments as far as what our listeners want us to talk about. We try to do our best to try to pick the most hot topics, the most trendy topics, or we find the most relevant topics to go over each episode. So we love our viewer feedback again. Have a great weekend. Don't overextend yourself if you're in crypto. Enjoy life, be present, and Matthew McConaughey 2024 president. We'll see what happens. You never know, Chad.
Yeah.
Let's make it
Well, he better
happen.
get his gun head on his fucking shoulders. All right. No. All right. So with that, what I mean is logic to firearm and the Second Amendment. So, all right. Remember, we're all Americans. We are in this together. Don't let the divisive tactics of specific politicians drive us apart. Let's bring it back together. So, have a great weekend. Catch you guys on the flip side.